Hi, my name is Emma, and I'd like to tell you about the craziest experience I ever went through in my life. You see, when I was really young, my mom passed away. That was so heartbreaking, but now I only had a dad in my life. I mean, I technically had an older brother, but he wasn't really a good brother at all. His name was Jack, and if you ask me, he's pure evil. I never liked him at all, and every single time I tried to connect with him, he did the weirdest things to mess up the moment. He was only 4 years older than me, but was a total slacker. I did really well at school while he kept on failing every single one of his exams. That's when he was already 19 and hadn't been able to even finish high school. So before we move on, smash that like button and hit subscribe, please. This will help you live 10 years longer. Trust me, it totally works. My dad was way too kind towards my brother, and Jack always took advantage of our father's good heart. He kept saying that it took him so long to graduate because he had problems concentrating. Ugh, I knew that was a lie. He just sneaked out to parties and never sat down to study. I wanted to tell my dad about it, but it would have been such a heartbreak to him. Now I wish I had warned Dad about Jack before because maybe this whole situation could have been avoided. The big problem began when my dad married this girl half of his age. Her name was Melissa, and it was so obvious that she was using him for his money. Everyone realized this fact but my dad. I hated her. She was so nasty and annoying, I knew right away that she never loved Dad, and just wanted to avoid having him go through such a big mistake. No matter what people told him about her, Melissa, he was blinded with love, and so he ended up marrying her. Thank heavens, at least he was talked into signing a prenup. I can't even imagine what would have happened instead if he hadn't. Now, just a few months after Melissa moved into our house, I began to notice something was off. I mean, other than the fact that she was spoiled rotten, mean-spirited, and annoying. My brother Jack spent way too much time with her, and they always pretended to be watching movies in his room when Dad was away. That was the excuse they used to lock themselves in a bedroom together. I knew that was messed up even if I was merely a teenager. So why were they always high-fiving in that room? It was weird. I couldn't tell my dad about it since Melissa would claim I was just lying out of jealousy. So I bit my tongue and decided what I needed was proof. Then I'd be able to show my dad the truth, and no amount of lies would be enough. So one day while they were alone together in the living room, my brother and Melissa, I decided to listen into their conversation. They'd been acting super sneaky lately, and I knew they were up to no good. That's when I discovered their messed up plan. They wanted to steal all of Dad's money so Melissa could finally get a divorce. Then she would move out with Jack. Since there was a prenup, she couldn't just walk away. So they were going to set up a fake kidnapping and tell my dad that the kidnappers demanded millions of dollars to free Jack. I was stunned. Even for two horrible people like them, this seemed to be way too terrible. I wanted to call my dad right away, but I knew how crazy my story would sound. I needed proof, and so I decided to follow them as quietly as possible and hide in the trunk of my stepmother's car. I was super quiet about it. They didn't even hear me sliding in there. I'm pretty small, so while in the trunk of the car, I recorded everything they talked about. It was clear they were in a relationship, and they mocked my dad so many times. Melissa called him old and silly and plenty of other nasty names. My brother said he couldn't wait to be enjoying the beach with my dad's money. I texted my dad the entire conversation I'd recorded on my phone and warned him that in a few minutes, they'd be calling him, pretending that Jack had been kidnapped. And just like that, I laid there in the trunk when they picked up a third guy and parked the car in an empty parking lot. That guy called Dad and began reading out a script, and when he spoke, I texted my dad about it. My father had his secretary call the cops while keeping the accomplice on the phone line. I text messaged my dad my location, and I sent it to him right at once. I can't believe how happy I was when the police sirens began blasting closer and closer, and my brother and stepmom began to freak out. It got really crazy. They actually took the cops on a high-speed chase. I held on for dear life. The cops caught them, and I can tell you, it didn't turn out well for either of them. At first, they played dumb, but when the audio I'd recorded, I showed it to them, they gave up trying to even lie. Both Jack and Melissa cut a deal with the prosecution to avoid a potentially longer sentence. They'll be in jail for at least 5 years each, and then, regretfully, they'll probably be released on parole. At least I know they'll never bother my dad or me again. My dad finally realized my older brother was a complete loser, and he completely cut him off. Dad didn't even pay for Jack's attorney fees. Thanks for watching. What's the craziest thing you caught a family member doing? Tell us all about it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and check out our other videos on this channel.